icons not appearing on their list.
What exactly is changing, and what recourse do you have to keep your information private? We get details in about 10 minutes. But first, our top stories. We are getting an update on the reconstruction of the Salt Palace Convention Center, including a start date and how it fits into a new sports and entertainment district. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
Salt Lake County Associate Deputy Mayor Arlen Bradshaw tells me they're still mulling over a couple of design options, but one thing's for sure, the Salt Palace is going to get taller.
Doing so makes it more concentrated. Meaning our meeting space, our exhibit space, and the ballroom space will not require, a mile walk.
They're also planning to build a second ballroom, something the county says has been highly requested and something competing centers already have. The county estimates that alone will help the Salt Palace generate more than $100 million more per year. Bradshaw says the actual construction set to begin in just under a year. The new Salt Palace is set to be all finished up in 2031. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. U.S. officials say that one crew member aboard a U.S. fighter jet shot down by Iran has been rescued. More from ABC News Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz.
U.S. pilots are trained in what is called SEER if they are shot down or have to eject over enemy territory. SEER stands for Survive, Evade, Resist, and Escape. The pilots, the navigator, of course, know that Iranians would be looking for them. In fact, Iran put out a message to shoot the pilots if they were found, and a reward was being offered. Later, they said if they are found alive.
We still don't know the status of the other crew members. Other national stories KSL is following. The labor market for the U.S. last month beat expectations.
This is a much better than expected jobs report. Those 178,000 jobs added to the economy in March, much higher than expectations. We've been looking for about 59,000 jobs added, according to economists. So double that, which means that we saw a pickup in hiring in really a lot of industries. Looking at manufacturing jobs are added, healthcare added.
That is ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria. Where we had the slowdowns, northbound I-15 going from Clearfield towards Roy, those have eased and cleared out. In fact, we are back to a delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways, including I-15, both directions, between Ogden and Provo. Spring is calling. Answer in Cedar City and Bryan Head. Head south, try something different. A one-tank getaway that gives you more vacation. Plan now at visitcedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the clouds are beginning to clear. The temperatures are warming up, headed into the weekend. Tomorrow's high expected to be 60 degrees. Easter Sunday, 67 degrees and partly cloudy skies. Then next week, we're back into the 70s. Right now, 43 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Right now, water heaters are on sale at Any Hour Services. Schedule a free estimate today to see how much you'll save. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace tucked away in a drawer, pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear. and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The search is on this hour for a missing military crew member who went down with their fighter jet after it was shot down over Iran. One crew member is in the two-seater F-15 fighter jet has been rescued. That's according to a U.S. official. That service member is receiving medical treatment. Iranian state media now pleading for its own citizens to find the missing American, promising hefty rewards for handing them over to the Iranian government. Iran's parliament speaker taunting the U.S. on social media about the downed fighter jet. ABC's Britt Clennett has more from Jerusalem.
He took to social media saying that after defeating Iran 37 times in a row, this brilliant no-strategy war they started has now been downgraded from regime change to can anyone find our pilots, please? Wow, what incredible progress. Absolute geniuses.
We get more on the situation from ABC News Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz.
This was a two-seater aircraft. The pilot would be in front, the weapons systems officer would be in back. And this would be a very dramatic and very dangerous rescue. Iran's Revolutionary Guard saying that Iranian forces had shot down the U.S. fighter overnight, with Iranian state media releasing images of the wreckage of a jet and of an intact ejection seat. The IRGC said it was an F-35, but from the images that we do believe are credible but have not independently verified, it looks like an Air Force F-15. Now, U.S. pilots are trained in what is called SEER if they are shot down or have to eject over enemy territory. SEER stands for Survive, Evade, Resist, and Escape. The pilots, the navigator, of course, know that Iranians would be looking for them. In fact, Iran put out a message to shoot the pilots if they were found, and a reward was being offered. Later, they said if they are found alive. This comes after President Trump claimed in his speech on Wednesday night that the Iranians have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar is 100% annihilated. The president saying we are unstoppable as a military force. But again, this is a very, very dangerous mission.
ABC News contributor and former State Department official, retired Marine Colonel Steve Ganyard, outlines how the crew would have prepared for this kind of thing and what other military forces are doing now to try to find them.
All pilots, all tactical pilots, are trained in search and rescue evasion techniques, and so they know what to do. They have equipment that will help the rescue forces find them. We're seeing some extraordinary pictures coming out of Iran that appear to be credible, showing U.S. Air Force combat search and rescue C-130s and Blackhawks at low altitude searching for these crews. So they've got the best of the best out there looking for them, and hopefully that this has a happy ending.
What does this mean for diplomatic efforts? Britt Clennett again.
Iran knows this is not a popular war at home and abroad, that even America's NATO allies are growing increasingly frustrated with the mixed messages, the lack of clarity on war aims, and the apparent failure to war game the outcomes, such as preparing for the closure of the Hormuz Strait, one of the most important waterways in the world, through which 1/5 of the global oil supply flows through.
And what about the future? What could this possibly mean for the trajectory of the war? ABC's Martha Raddatz tells us.
Well, I think we have to keep a close eye on this rescue mission, and we are all hoping and praying that the pilot and the navigator, the weapons systems officer, are okay. They did eject separately. That is how that works, within milliseconds of one another. So they are not necessarily right by each other, but certainly in the same vicinity. But this could really put a lot of pressure on the Pentagon and the American public if something happens here.
We'll continue to monitor the situation and break in with updates on that other crew member as soon as we get more details. Updates on air, online, and on the KSL News Radio app. In just 60 seconds, we'll take a deep dive on recent changes to voter privacy laws and what you need to know if your information was previously deemed private. Stay with us.
Progressive knows that for business owners, vacations hit different. But hey, at least you finally took a vacation. And look at that. You only answered 53 calls, 84 emails, onboarded one new hire, and covered for Chris while he's out on paternity leave, and you did it all from a kayak. Because you, my friend, know how to relax. All right, you may not know how to take a day off, but you do know both your personal and business auto insurance needs can be covered in one place with Progressive. So at least that's relaxing, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hundreds of thousands of Utahns got a letter in the mail this week from the Lieutenant Governor's office notifying them that their voter records will not stay private later next month. It's thanks to a bill signed into law from the last legislative session, Senate Bill 153. The bill changed privacy laws relating to voter information. Now, it's important to note that it does not make your vote public, that is still protected and private per the Constitution. But it does mean that some of your information, such as your address, party official, and voter status, will be made available. Shelley Jackson is the Deputy Director of Elections for the state, and she joined Inside Sources this morning to explain how the change will work and what it means to you and your privacy.
I mean, the list has to be purchased at this point, so it's not like it's just appearing on a website or anything. Someone does have to make that request through our office, and they do have to sign a form and make assertions that they're going to handle the data carefully. Historically, voter records, and in many states, have been and are very public. It kind of started, the genesis of it was to make sure that you weren't being unfairly taken off the rolls, so you could always have that information available and know that you were still on the rolls. That was definitely before, the day and age where we had online, we had all of these data privacy concerns. But that's the genesis of it. And really the parties, the candidates were very upset that they felt like there were huge gaps of Utahns not appearing on their lists when they made the request.
If you got a letter from the Lieutenant Governor this week telling you about the change, you also received a form to fill out to request that your records continue to stay private.
The letters that went out this week had what we call an at-risk form with it. And so if the people qualify, meaning they're active duty military, they're law enforcement, they're a public figure, someone that is worried about some domestic violence issues or have a protective order, or anyone living in a household with someone that I just listed off, can fill out that at-risk form and return it to their county clerk.
Jackson says the form is always available, so you can change your mind. But in order for your private voter info to not become public, thanks to this new change, it has to be returned to your county clerk by May 6th. Now, if you don't fit into one of those at-risk categories, being a public figure, being active duty military, being under a protective order, being in law enforcement, or being a victim of domestic violence, or living with someone in those categories, you are not eligible to hide your data. There's no workaround. Many of you texted or emailed KSL to say that if you can't keep your info private, you'd just as well unregister to vote. Jackson says they brought that very concern to the legislature when this bill was still being debated.
We do know they considered it because we brought that up as a consequence, and they felt the transparency was more important, and they felt like that people would not choose to unregister themselves. Unfortunately, we have already heard from callers yesterday in our office of people who were literally at a county clerk's office unregistered, and that's unfortunate. And we absolutely hate to see that.
You may remember that the Department of Justice is suing the Lieutenant Governor's office over voter information right now, with the federal government claiming that Utah officials must release more information on voters, even information state law has historically said was private. Jackson says this latest change passed by the legislature is not the same thing.
They're two very separate issues. So what the DOJ is asking every state for is the complete unredacted voter list. So they particularly want Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers, full dates of birth, all of those things, which will not be released under any circumstances under this new SB 153. Now, Lieutenant Governor Henderson has been adamant in telling the DOJ that they have not stated a case for it, and she will not, that it would violate some Utah privacy laws, and she will not give it up, and they have actually sued us.
So if you previously had a private voter record, Jackson says to fill out the form and send it to your county clerk as soon as possible. Then your clerk will make the final determination as to whether or not you qualify as an at-risk voter. We did reach out to the original sponsor of the bill, Senate Bill 153, which made all these changes, Senator John Johnson, but we have not heard back. Additional details released today on the future of the Sports and Entertainment District in downtown Salt Lake. More on that coming up next. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Ricky?
We have a good drive in progress on all the Valley freeways at this time. We still have crews wrapping up some emergency road repair in Murray, northbound State Street, about 5900 south in the right lanes. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ lawn care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I'm always talking about what a great place for your family NPS is to shop for anything. But with Easter right around the corner, NPS is absolutely perfect. All of those things you need, from the candies to the Easter baskets to decorations for your home, they're waiting for you at all 4 of the stores, Layton, Orem, and of course the 2 NPS stores right here in Salt Lake City on Empire. And don't forget the great specials that you're going to find every day, 20 to 70% off on everything every day, but you'll save even more with the in-store specials, and they differ day to day, and they differ in each and every store. Don't miss your opportunity to have a real shopping adventure. Find the treasures that await you and your family at NPS. NPS, a nice place to save.
Salt Lake City, this is your final boarding call, extended by popular demand. Titanic, the exhibition, is sailing away soon. Don't miss your last chance to experience the heartbreaking and heroic stories of her passengers and crew. See the incredible artifacts before the doors close forever on April 19th at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. Get your tickets before they're gone at thetitanicexhibition.com. That's thetitanicexhibition.com.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, secure to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We'll rope it up. Cause we know how to jump.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. As plans move forward to convert several blocks of downtown Salt Lake City into a sports and entertainment district, we're getting a better look at how the Salt Palace Convention Center will look when it's all said and done. The county and their architects are still considering a couple of designs for the Salt Palace right now, but Salt Lake County Associate Deputy Mayor Arlen Bradshaw tells KSL News Radio's Adam Small that it will definitely be taller, likely by a story or two. It will also include a second ballroom.
If you're familiar with the Salt Palace, you know it's a pretty expansive building. It stretches clear from West Temple to 300 West, and it was really built as an exhibition center. Particularly, outdoor retailers was our big annual show that we really had tailored the facility to. We still need a lot of exhibit space, but the way that the building is laid out currently isn't an efficient use of space, especially for a downtown facility. So as we look at the opportunity that has been presented to the county, we will be building up. We will have a taller facility, but doing so makes it more concentrated, meaning our meeting space, our exhibit space, and the ballroom space will not require, a mile walk to get to one end to the other. Rather, you'll be going up. And the two ballrooms, as you pointed out, is a really critical feature, because what that allows us to do is really host two large meetings at the same time. The ballroom is a really big draw for the facility. In the current building, the space closest to the ballroom is the most utilized space. And so by having two ballrooms, we get to use more of the convention center more often, which brings more people to the convention center and really helps our businesses downtown.
Many have complained about the cost for all these developments, but Bradshaw says it's actually incredibly beneficial to residents of Salt Lake County.
Yeah, Salt Lake County residents benefit greatly from the visitor economy, whether they realize it or not. But when we have conventions that bring out-of-town visitors that stay in our hotel rooms, spend money at restaurants, shop at the downtown malls, those tax dollars go back into the community and really help decrease the overall tax burden on our residents. So it really is a benefit. And having a convention center that is more efficient, that is able to sell the use of the space to more of these type of events coming into town is really a broader benefit for everyone.
Bradshaw says they will likely finalize the design sometime in the next several months, and then they'll ask the public to chime in on the plans.
There were two concepts that had been widely shared. One in particular would have had a 6 to 7 story convention center. We determined that probably wasn't the direction we want to go, and actually didn't create the efficiencies that we wanted, because then you're kind of replacing the really long layout with really too high. So we are looking at going up, not determined yet, but it'll be a story or two on top of what currently exists. And as soon as those decisions are made, we'll share that out with the community. But we don't want a facility that is so imposing that it overshadows the area. But we also want to ensure that we are providing a facility that creates the biggest benefit to residents.
County hopes to break ground on the development sometime next year, with the new and improved Salt Palace opening in 2031. Turning now to space news. The astronauts aboard the Artemis II describing their spectacular experience from space. ABC's Gio Benitez asking astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen about their journey so far aboard the Orion spacecraft.
There was a moment about an hour ago where Mission Control Houston reoriented our spacecraft as the sun was setting behind the Earth. And I don't know what we all expected to see in that moment, but you could see the entire globe from pole to pole. You could see Africa, Europe, and if you looked really close, you could see the Northern Lights. It was the most spectacular moment, and it paused all four of us in our tracks.
Probably one of the things that surprised all of us is when those solid rocket boosters actually lit and we left the pad. It was just a moment of disbelief. And yeah, the fact that we launched, it just totally takes you by surprise, even though you're expecting it, at least for me anyway. And I just had a huge smile across my face.
One of the biggest surprises was how smooth riding those solids was. We all expected a really just dynamic ride, a lot of motion. We were prepared to potentially not being able to see telemetry, maybe even not being able to, touch switches, and it was very smooth. It was a definite difference when they separated and we were just on the main engines, but just a steady rumble and a great ride.
Even though the astronauts were well prepared for their journey, they've still been surprised by a few things.
There has been a tremendous amount of disbelief for me. It's just so extraordinary. I just kept saying to them yesterday, I really like it up here. I wish I could have got here sooner. It's just such a tremendous place to be. The views are extraordinary. It's really fun to be floating around, and it just makes me feel like a little kid.
It is quite cold, and we're wishing we had the lower temperature sleeping bags with us. But right before this PAO event started, I pulled my knit cap off, and I'm ready to put it back on. But Houston's been working with us to change fan speeds and temperature set points, and we've actually been able to warm it up a lot better in the last half a day or so. Our last nap before TLI, we got a lot more comfortable.
We've been off the planet for about 30 hours now, and we've had 2 very short naps. We actually just gathered for our first meal together in space. That is how busy we have been the last day and a half. It has been really an amazing beginning flight plan, but sleeping here is it's actually sort of comical. Christina has been sleeping heads down in the middle of the vehicle, kind of like a bat suspended from our docking tunnel. Victor's been up where Jeremy is right now. He's got a nice little nook wedged in there. And then Jeremy has been stretched out on seat 1, and I've been sleeping under the displays just in case anything goes wrong. It's more comfortable than you would think, and it's nice. It's nice to sleep in weightlessness again. Every time I was dozing off last night, I had that image that I was tripping off a curb and I was waking myself up. So my body's getting reacclimated. It's been a few years since I've been up here.
Having just experienced incredible views of planet Earth and seeing the entire planet out the window in one pane, knowing that we're about to have some similar views of the moon in that same way is definitely getting me more excited for it. I knew that is what we would see, but there's nothing that prepares you for the breathtaking aspect of seeing your home planet both lit up bright as day and also the moon glow on it at night with the beautiful beam of the sunset.
The mission marks the first time humans have flown beyond low Earth orbit since the Apollo 17 mission that landed on the moon in 1972. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Updates today in a death penalty case that was recently overturned by the state courts. State and local roads departments saving quite a pretty penny by not having to run their snowplows very much this winter. What will they do with that money they saved? And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Right lanes blocked on State Street in Murray. Maria.
And the sun is coming out, temperatures warming up for the weekend. Tomorrow's high 60, 67 for your Easter weekend, and then we're back into the 70s by next week. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. It's 1:30.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Mike Dubusky. The search continues for that missing fighter jet pilot who ejected from his F-15 plane after it was shot down by Iranian forces overnight. The other U.S. service member on that plane has been rescued, sources tell ABC. Mick Mulroy is an ABC News contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East. He says service members like this have received what's known as SEER training, which stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape.
What they do now is from their training, and that training is specifically designed to keep them alive and get them rescued. So I'm sure that's what's happening right now, and that's what the military and the intelligence community is using to try to recover this individual.
It comes as the fighting between Iran and the U.S. continues. Today, U.S. and Israeli forces launched another volley of strikes on Iran. Among the targets, a prominent university in the capital of Tehran. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A new date has been set for a new sentencing trial in the murder case that goes back more than 40 years. Doug Lovell was sentenced to die for the 1985 rape and murder of Joyce Yost, but his sentence has been overturned on appeals twice. His new sentencing trial was supposed to start in August, but it will now start in February to allow new defense attorneys in the case to get up to speed. Yost's murder is the subject of Season 2 of the Cold podcast. Other local stories KSL is following. Utahns are learning their voter registration records will no longer be private. Then there's only a few months to try and register as a protected voter. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Across the state, Utahns are receiving letters letting them know about the change and that their full legal name, address, and party affiliation will be made available unless they register as a protected voter by May 25th. Deputy Director of Elections Shelley Jackson says a protected voter might be in law enforcement, the active military, or
someone that is worried about some domestic violence issues or have a protective order, or anyone living in a household with someone that I just listed off can fill out that at-risk form and return it to their county clerk.
She emphasized that these voter rolls will not be available to anyone. They will still need to be requested or purchased through the Lieutenant Governor's office. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
The Division of Natural Resources is reminding spring breakers planning to spend time outside to avoid abandoned mines. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
There are around 10,000 abandoned mines across the state, but they are not safe. The division says there could be falling rocks, toxic gas, or even leftover explosives. The entrances are usually small and hard for first responders to get through, as well as confusing, and there is no cell phone service. Spring breakers should stay on marked trails, know the area they're visiting, bring a buddy and share the plan with someone at home, and avoid mine openings at all costs. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
A Midvale woman was arrested after police say she cut the brake lines of a car belonging to a couple she had previously been accused of stalking. Police say the victim realized that her brake wasn't working when the pedal went straight to the car floor. Luckily, the car was not in motion at the time. 32-year-old Toria Stein could face attempted murder and stalking charges. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Ricky?
We do have a couple of problems out there. A right lane blocked in Murray, northbound State Street, 5900 south from earlier road work. We also have a crash in the cleanup stages, 5600 south, 3500 west in Roy, and a small accident being moved out of traffic. This is on the exit ramp from northbound I-15 at Pleasant Grove Boulevard. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And we do have some breaking news on KSL News Radio. We are getting an update now from the Artemis II astronauts.
Perform well overall, and the crew is in great spirits. Currently, the crew is more than 100,000 miles from the Earth and about 150,000 miles to go away from the moon. Victor said that we call amazing things that humans do moonshots for a reason. And indeed, this is literally and symbolically our moonshot that we're in the middle of. It's great to get some very clear video and images of the crew yesterday, and the crew configured their cameras aboard Integrity, and we have some of the latest images to share with you. If you could call up the first image. This first one we got to the ground shows the unique vantage point of the crew as they look back at the Earth. It shows a backlit Earth revealing auroras as the crew heads towards the moon. It was taken by Reed Wiseman out of an Orion window, and it features two auroras, top right and left and bottom left, and zodiacal light, which is at the bottom right. It's visible as the Earth eclipses to sun. You know, it's great to think that with the exception of our four friends, all of us are represented in this image. If you could call up the next image, please. This one shows Earth, as you can see, the Terminator line. And Reed also took this photo after translunar injection burn yesterday. What an amazing shot that he shared with us here. So we continue to learn all about our spacecraft as we operated in deep space with crew for the first time. And it's important to remind ourselves of that as we learn a little bit more day by day. So Judd, if you could talk a little bit more about details.
All right, thanks, Lakeisha. Let's see, so when we last left...
And you've been listening to a news conference, this coming to us from NASA, giving us an update of what is happening with the moon mission and talking about some pictures that have been taken by the astronauts and sent back to Earth and talking about what they're seeing. We'll continue to follow that mission for you. We know you're all excited about it. KSL News Time, 1:37.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found tax relief advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax relief advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-2578. 800-488-2578. That's 800-488-2578.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment. And they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Connecticut. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A major development today in a decades-old Utah murder case of Eva Olesen, where a man who once sat on death row is now asking the court to throw the case out entirely. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera was in the courtroom for today's hearing. And Eric, walk us through what happened today.
You got it, Maria. This all goes back to 1985 when Eva Olesen was found murdered in her Provo home, stabbed multiple times and shot in a case that shocked the community. Douglas Carter was then convicted and sentenced to death, but that conviction was overturned last year after courts found investigators paid and threatened key witnesses who later admitted they lied. Now his attorneys are asking the judge to dismiss the case entirely, arguing that misconduct goes even deeper. Today, the judge heard arguments on that, but didn't rule from the bench, instead saying he'll take it under advisement and issue a written decision.
And there's also this issue of evidence that seems to be a part of what's happening here. What's that about?
Exactly. Yeah, that really stood out today. Both sides are now working through newly surfaced material, including boxes they mentioned of old documents and cassette tapes from Provo police, and then also an FBI profile from the 1980s. The defense says that profile actually didn't match Carter, and they're raising concerns that other potentially important evidence may have been lost or never turned over. So because of all that, the judge once again didn't make a decision on whether Carter could be released, instead setting a separate bail hearing for June 29th, where they're also going to dig into those evidence issues more deeply.
Eric, was Eva's family there, and what was their reaction to all of this?
Yeah, they were very present in the courtroom, and afterward, I got to speak with Olison's daughter-in-law, Teresa, in the hallway. She told me she still believes investigators did their job and that Carter is responsible.
We are trying to look back to 1985, and we're trying to make decisions with a 2026 mindset. I, with all my heart, know that the police at that time did not have any maliciousness. They got up, they did their job, they were trying to find out who came into and murdered a grandmother, a mother, who was knitting a sweater for her son's 16th birthday, came in, violated her space of safety where you want to feel protection, came in, and all these other things are muddled, and you know, I wish she had as many appeals. If I didn't think he was guilty, I'd be the first one to say let him go. But I do. There's things that were in her house, there were things that were moved a certain way that he knew, and I believe he's guilty, and I don't believe the law is the place to try to get away with murder.
So while the courts now re-examine how this case was handled, her family says their focus hasn't changed. They still believe the right person was held responsible for Eva Olison's murder.
All right. Thank you, Eric. That is KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera joining me live from Provo with updates on the death penalty case for Douglas Carter. In the good old days, writing checks to pay bills, it was usually easier to make sure you were sending the money to the right place. You'd actually have to write out the name of the person or the company you were paying. And if you were mailing the check, you'd have to write down the address. But if you messed up something and needed to cancel the check, you just called the bank immediately and had them cancel it. Pretty cut and dry. Well, with paying bills online nowadays, we are often swapping a bit of security and surety with convenience. KSL investigator Matt Gephardt has the story.
Online payments can save time, save stamps, save headaches, until one click creates a whole new headache. One bad click and poof, Edwina Green was out $1,000.
I sent, by mistake, a $1,000 transfer to the Bank of America, which was where I had an old credit card.
Green says she accidentally sent that money using Zion Bank's bill pay system when trying to pay a different bill. Now, she caught it fast, but getting it fixed, not so fast.
This is my first bank statement.
For months, Edwina says she fought with Bank of America to try and get a refund for that goof.
For the first 7 or 8 months, I was really persistent until I got a letter finally saying the account didn't have all the money in it anymore, and the case was closed.
Edwina recognizes it was her mistake, but should that mean her money is just gone?
I just think a big corporation should have a better answer for me than no answer.
Edwina decided it was time to call me. The KSL investigators reached out to Bank of America repeatedly on this one. In emails, they told us they reviewed Edwina's case and later connected her with somebody internally. But they also told us what they told her, that the money that was deposited into that account is no longer fully available. What happened to it? The bank did not say. So what does the law say? Well, under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, banks are required to do certain things, including promptly investigate and also refund money in cases of fraud. But when it's not fraud, when it's a bill pay mistake, that is considered an authorized payment. And while banks do have ways to try and get mistaken payments back, that does not mean you automatically get reimbursed. So where does that leave Edwina? How do you feel?
I'm angry.
Angry and out $1,000. And that right there is the dark side of digital convenience. We've seen it before. Electronic payments are terrific until they're not. And when you make a mistake, there is no magic undo button.
also good reminders to double and triple check anything having to do with your money. That is KSL investigator Matt Gephardt. You can get more information on his story by going to ksltv.com. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, andcollar.com.
Smoother, safer roads. That's the goal of next week's annual Pothole Palooza in Salt Lake City. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall says despite a mild winter, there are still plenty of potholes for crews to fill in.
It's really more about whether or not that rainfall results in an immediate freeze. It's that freeze-thaw cycle that does the cracking. We had sort of a warm October, and we had such a dry and warm winter that these are probably the least impacted winter roadways that we've seen in a very long time in Salt Lake City. But because the quality of so many of our roads is in need of repair anyway, potholes make a big difference in people's everyday lives.
Pothole Palooza begins on Monday, and throughout the week, anyone can report potholes that they see on the roadways through the My SLC app or by calling the Streets Division. Crews will then respond and fill them in.
So we hope people will call and report. We know our roads need it. Just let us know where. We are the oldest city in the state, older than the state. Our roadways are all different ages. We have 110 square miles of Salt Lake City ground to cover, and our crews are going to touch almost every roadway in the city over the next week as they try to remedy the age and impact and the wear of the weather on these streets.
The mayor says the roads are definitely in better shape this year because of the warm, mild weather, but that doesn't mean that everything's perfect. Even if the weather is dry, there are other things that lead to potholes.
The amount of traffic, the weather, and the temperatures all affect our roadways. Not having our snowplows out as much this winter saved some of the decay on the roadways that we typically project, but there's still a lot of work for us to do, as you can see here on Christmas Street this morning.
Over last year's week-long campaign, over 5,000 potholes were reported and 39,000 were filled over the year. A lackluster snow year meant that those massive snowplows went hungry. They sat idle, looking up at the dry skies, crying little tears of boredom. Okay, that's a little extreme, but because they are inanimate objects after all. But the plows did sit idle for most of the season. Now, that sitting around translates to money saved and money that can be used on other projects to improve Utah's roads. UDOT's Mitch Shaw says they budgeted about $30 million for snow removal, but they only used about $8 million.
It could go back into pothole fixes if we needed to do that. A lot of times we'll have to go out and seal cracks on the road. Basically, any kind of road maintenance work that we would do, that snowplow money that we don't use for a given year will go right back into the road maintenance budget.
Shaw tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi it's tough to break down the cost savings on a storm-by-storm basis.
It depends on how much snow there is. I mean that in every possible way. So in terms of how many inches are coming down, how many areas are impacted, how fast the snow is falling. So there's really no like set number. Each storm is so individual that it really varies.
He says the surplus will not go to already funded big capital improvement projects. Instead, Shaw says it goes to things like potholes that pop up out of the blue.
Just living where we do in Utah, we can have significant winter storms. We can also have the exact polar opposite of that, where we have some pretty extreme heat. So yeah, I mean, any sort of road repair that we're going to have to do, that snowplow money that we haven't used this year is going towards that. So like in the summer, when temperatures get really, really hot, like when it's approaching triple digits, a lot of times what can happen is we have those pavement heaves, where the concrete is meant to contract and expand. And long story short, if it doesn't cool down enough, the contraction doesn't happen and it just keeps expanding, and then you'll see those pavement heaves. So we could use like the money that we are saving or not using this winter for snowplow stuff. We could use the money to take care of things like that. Any sort of like sinkhole, we had some sinkhole issues last year and years when a lot of times it happens when we have really wet years. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue this year, but basically any type of regular road maintenance.
Cities and counties around the state report the same thing. In fact, South Salt Lake only called the snowplows out one day this season. By comparison, they are usually called out about 20 times a season. More Midday in just a few minutes, but let's get an update on traffic first. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Ricky?
We've had crews downtown wrapping up a crash at State Street and South Temple. Also starting to see the backups fill in early before the afternoon drive even kicks in. This is on the exit ramp from northbound I-15 at Bangor Highway in Draper. Buy tickets now for ODT's Shut Up and Dance. BOGO sale ends April 1st. Romeo and Juliet and Chicago Nights, April 6th through 11th. Visit odysseydance.com for details. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
At IFA, our mission is to support our customers' passion for the rural and Western lifestyle. Whether you have a small garden or acres of farmland, a few backyard chickens or hundreds of cattle, our feed, farm supply, and agronomy experts are here to help. And we've been doing it better than anyone else for more than 100 years now. Stop by one of our stores today or visit us online at ifa.coop and get the kind of service and support for your lifestyle. IFA, helping you grow the things you love.
Ready for your next vehicle? At Performance Automotive in Bountiful, your new Ford, Toyota, or Honda is here. Built for Utah communities, canyon weekends, and everything in between. Choose capability with Ford, long-lasting reliability with Toyota, or smooth efficiency with Honda. Backed by friendly experts and financing options that fit your budget. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda for your test drive. Browse inventory, check pricing, and schedule your visit at performancebountiful.com. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, driven to be the best.
Looking for something fun to win this week? Head to ksl.com/win and enter now. We're giving you the chance to score tickets to the Disney Worlds Collide concert tour, rock out at the Guess Who tour, or visit Titanic the exhibition for a walk through history. It's quick, easy, and free to enter. So don't miss out. Visit ksl.com/win today and see what you could be winning this week. ksl.com/win. Good luck.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
We finally realized something.
We wanted more time for family, faith, and service.
And less time giving every Saturday to the house.
Amen to that.
At Ovation Homes, active adults 55 plus can enjoy beautifully designed, low-maintenance homes in a welcoming community built for this season of life.
More peace, less upkeep.
Learn more about Ovation Homes' newest communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton. Visit ovationhomes.com. That's ovationhomes.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
We finally realized something.
We wanted more time for family, faith, and service.
And less time giving every Saturday to the house.
At Ovation Homes, active adults 55 plus can enjoy beautifully designed, low-maintenance homes in a welcoming community built for this season of life.
More peace, less upkeep.
And more time for what matters most.
Learn more about Ovation Homes' newest communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton. Visit ovationhomes.com. That's ovationhomes.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. After a quick shift from warm to wet conditions, Utah's trails might not be as easy or as safe as they look. Well, it looks like great hiking weather this weekend. Some trails could still be slick or muddy after this week's weather. State parks officials say that's where people can run into some trouble. Spokesperson Allie O'Rulian says that this time of year conditions can change quickly, especially at the higher elevations.
And even though we've had all that warm weather, we are now expecting maybe some rain, even some snow in our higher elevation areas. So really it is important, no matter when you go, what time of year, just check the conditions of whatever state park you go to visit so that you can know what to prepare for, how to dress, and what to bring. So before you're headed out on trails, whether it's this weekend, whether it's next, whether it's for spring break or a fun weekend, we really advise you to go on each webpage for our state parks where they have current conditions listed so you know what you're getting into. So whether it's in the sun or the rain or the snow, make sure that you have the right gear before you head out on your trip.
Aurelian says that there are some things that people get wrong across the board.
We really want to remind people to bring more water than you think you'll need, especially down in southern Utah where, this past weekend we got temperatures in the 90s. It's really hot. You can lose moisture. You can get dehydrated really quickly. And even when it's cold outside, you can still get dehydrated and even not even realize it while you're getting dehydrated because you don't realize how much you're sweating or things like that, or how much energy your body is using. So we suggest, especially in warmer weather areas, to bring 1 gallon of water per person per day. Now that seems like a lot, but if you're out hiking all day, your body really needs that water. And then also, I think people often forget the pairing of salty snacks so that your body can actually hold on to that water. Your body needs electrolytes, so bring your favorite salty snack with you along with plenty of water out on the trails. And then we also want to remind people that yes, it's really important to bring any type of emergency kit or emergency materials, but what's even more important is to familiarize yourself with the contents beforehand, because it's great to have all of those tools ready at your disposal in case there is an emergency, but you need to be prepared to use them. And so make sure that you practice using them before heading out on your trip so that if an emergency occurs, you are well prepared.
She also says no matter your experience level, it's still important to take extra precautions.
Let a friend know where you're going. Avoid going solo. Bring a friend or a family member. As I say a million times, check conditions. And I say it so many times because it is really important. And if people are going out on the water, make sure to wear a life jacket. I know that some people may be interested in getting the start of their tans on before the summer season. I completely understand, but I would suggest leaving your tanning to the beach and when you're out on the water, wearing that life jacket so you can stay safe.
With more people expected to hit the outdoors for Easter weekend, Aurelian says being prepared can help prevent a quick problem from turning into something more serious. Make sure you take water, plenty of sunscreen. Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour of Midday, we are going to get the very latest on that missing jet pilot that is missing after a jet fighter was hit and crashed in Iran. We're going to get the very latest from News Nation on that right here on KSL News Radio. Hope you'll stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The clock is ticking in the search for a U.S. service member after Iranian forces shot down a fighter jet in the southwestern section of that country. One pilot has been rescued, but the other is still missing.
What they do now is from their training. And that training is specifically designed to keep them alive and get them rescued. So I'm sure that's what's happening right now. And that's what the military and the intelligence community is using to try to recover this individual.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, April 3rd. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll get a live update on the situation, what we know, and what U.S. forces are doing to locate that missing crew member in just a few minutes. Also this hour,
pickpocketing all these other schools out there and kind of going shopping, so to speak, for the best players out there.
Harsher penalties on the way for colleges trying to work around the NCAA transfer portal. But first, our top stories. We are getting a better look of what the Salt Palace Convention Center will look like as part of the new Downtown Sports and Entertainment District. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
The county and their architects are still considering a couple of designs for the new Salt Palace, but Salt Lake County Associate Deputy Mayor Arlen Bradshaw tells me it will definitely be taller, likely a story or two more than it is now.
We don't want a facility that is so imposing that it overshadows the area.
He says while they are going to build up, they still want to preserve the square footage as well as build a second ballroom.
By having two ballrooms, we get to use more of the convention center more often, which brings more people to the convention center and really helps our businesses downtown.
Bradshaw says they'll likely finalize a design sometime in the next several months with shovels going into the ground next year. They hope to have the new Salt Palace all done and ready to go in early 2031. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News. U.S. officials say that Iran has shot down a U.S. fighter jet over Iranian territory. U.S. military has launched a search and rescue mission and found one of the two crew members on board. More from ABC News Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz.
We know that it was a two-seater jet, an F-15E Strike Eagle. So there is the one crew member they have found and one crew member remains missing. Normally in this aircraft, there is a pilot in the front seat and a weapons systems officer in the back seat.
Some sources report that state media has supposedly shared photos of the wreckage of that jet and an ejection seat. Other national stories KSL is following. It's the second day of the Artemis II mission. The 4 astronauts have a busy day lined up ahead of their journey around the moon next week.
Now it'll be that lunar flyby. That's what we're all waiting for. And NASA says that everything on this mission appears to be on schedule. So that means that they expect this lunar flyby to happen sometime on Monday. That's when the crew will take high-res pictures of the lunar surface, including areas never before seen by the naked eye.
That is ABC's Andrew Dimbert reporting. U.S. job growth bounced back in March after a steep decline in February. ABC's Jim Ryan says the economy cranked out 178,000 positions last month.
With a strike ending at Kaiser Permanente, 35,000 workers were back on the job, contributing to an overall gain of 54,000 healthcare jobs in March. The construction, transportation, and warehousing sectors rounded out last month's job creation, while positions were lost in financial services and the federal government.
The unemployment rate for March ticked down to 4.3%. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Ricky, what are you seeing?
Not any accidents reported on the Valley freeways at this time. We have a couple of spots where traffic's pretty busy on I-15 in Salt Lake County northbound. It's from the south interchange to 53rd South and southbound I-15. It's going through Draper, approaching and passing the Bangerter Highway exit. Replenish Landscape Garden Products provides the highest quality compost and soil blends for your lawns and gardens. Start your season right with Replenish. Visit replenishcompost.com. Replenish, it's good stuff. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Storms and the clouds moving out, making way for a beautiful weekend. Tomorrow's high, 60 degrees, a lot of sunshine. Sunday, partly cloudy, but still the high 67, and then we're moving into the 70s for the first part of next week. 45 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A U.S. service member is missing and a pilot has been rescued after Iranian forces shot down a fighter jet in the southwestern section of the country. Iranians are being told to search for the missing pilot and take him to security agencies for a precious prize rather than kill him. Let's get the latest on this situation from the Hills. Philippe Timotia. He covers the Pentagon and the U.S. military. Philippe, any updates now on the search for that missing pilot?
First of all, thank you for having me. The latest information that we have is one of the 2 crew members has been rescued and is safe. The member was rescued by U.S. Armed Forces near Iran. The status of the other crew member is currently unknown. We've spoken to a few officials earlier today, and we are still waiting for updates on the service member's status. What we also know about the search rescue is that one of the Black Hawk helicopters involved in the rescue was hit by Iran, but both the crew made it safe and they are on their way back to the region. The plane involved in the incident is a F-15E Strike Eagle, and it uses a 2-member crew. One is a pilot, and the other is a weapons systems officer.
Philippe, you mentioned the Black Hawk that was also damaged in this search and rescue. What does the search and rescue look like? Are there other Black Hawk helicopters, or how did they go about that?
The search and rescue typically involves U.S. Special Forces. In this case, we had the involvement of Black Hawk helicopters along with C-130 planes. That were also seen on multiple videos that were posted on both Telegram and social platform X. Earlier today, Iranians were claiming that the plane that was shot down was a F-35, where in actuality it was a F-15E.
Mm-hmm. Do we know any more information about how the pilot was rescued?
We don't, unfortunately. The CENTCOM, the command that is in charge of overseeing the military in the Middle East, hasn't released any official statements, and so far all of the information has come from officials speaking on background. President Trump has addressed the incident in an interview with NBC News. He was arguing that the downing of the U.S. jet won't affect the negotiations with Iran, and as the U.S. has tried to engage with Tehran over potentially ending the war.
Mm-hmm. What do we know about the initial incident and how this fighter jet was actually shot down? What exactly happened? Do we know?
What we do know is that the plane was traveling over Iran and it was shot down earlier today. And like I mentioned earlier, initially the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, claimed that they downed a F-35 fifth-generation aircraft, where actually the photos that were released by Iran state media, multiple open source accounts were able to identify the plane as F-15E, which later U.S. officials speaking to multiple outlets were able to confirm. Mm-hmm. We know that one of the crew members landed in South Iran. Both were able to eject. We know one was able to land in Iran and ended up being rescued. The other one, the service member status is currently unclear. We also know that the regional governor in Iran started offering bounties for people in the region to look for the pilots.
What are we to assume about the fighter jet that was in the area? I mean, do we know anything about its mission? Was it set to drop missiles? What do we know?
We don't know the exact role. That's not something the military in the present moment would disclose in most cases. But what we do know is that the jet is a versatile fighter jet that can perform both air-to-ground and air-to-air missions in challenging physical conditions. And the plane can perform various combat operations, and it has been used since the late 1990s in Iraq, Syria, Libya. And so we could assume that it was part of the U.S.'s ongoing bombing campaign against Iran.
Philippe, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. Philippe Tiomatia, staff writer at The Hill. We'll continue to track this developing situation and bring you updates on air, online, and at kslnewsradio.com and on the KSL News Radio app. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
All Division I college sports programs will now face new restrictions when it comes to so-called ghost transfers. This happens when a program signs a transfer student athlete, adds a transfer student athlete to a roster, or allows a transfer student athlete to participate in athletic activities before the student athlete enters the NCAA transfer portal. KSL sports anchor Sam Farnsworth explains why this is happening now.
The NCAA is trying more every year to make it less and less of a wild west of transfer portals, right? And of athletes being able to just kind of pick and choose where they want to go, when they want to go, but also trying to help prevent teams from also just kind of pickpocketing all these other schools out there and kind of going shopping, so to speak, for the best players out there. because nowadays with the ability to spend money, it makes it easier to do that. So clearly the NCAA, they're trying to tighten up their transfer windows to kind of force athletes to make decisions maybe earlier or quicker, not to bleed it out for so long, but then also trying to make it so that schools can only sign players that have already opted into those transfer windows. So this is the ever-evolving college football, college athletics world that we live in.
And the penalties for programs who violate these rules are pretty severe, right?
They are, yep. Coaches, so if you sign a player outside of the window, so players, they can still transfer if they've not opted into the window. Into the portal. So what I'm saying, the transfer portal, what happens is basically you're on the market, right? You've suddenly made yourself available. Any coach, there can come and contact you, ask you, what your interest level is, and try to negotiate deals. Players can still transfer after the portal window closes, but they have to reach out to teams and in hopes that they can find a match, which makes it much more difficult to find the right match. A team cannot contact that player. However, obviously teams have signed players outside of the portal window before, and what the NCAA is saying now is if that happens, a coach can be suspended for up to 50% of a season. They can miss half a season, and that's massive for some programs out there. A coach is a huge part of the success of a college football program. And not only that, but then they can lose, or they can be fined up to, about, I think it's like 20% of the money that they're allowed to spend, which is, I think, pushing close to 50 million is what it's going to be close to per team. So they'd be fined up to 20% of that money. And yeah, those are huge numbers. That's nothing to just shrug the shoulders at. Maybe some of the big schools out there, they're not as worried, but for most schools, that is a very stiff penalty.
We talked a few weeks ago about the Utes canceling their spring football game, partially out of fear that other programs would see their players and then cherry pick the ones that they want before the portal opens. So with these new rules and severe penalties, do you think that this will force programs to end that kind of thing?
Possibly. I don't know if it will completely stop the practice, but I think whether this ruling was there or not, even with the new ruling, I think you're still going to see college programs not have a spring football game, just because it's still going to put a player that does well in their spring scrimmage, that performs well, or at least, you're able to see video of them, because usually those spring scrimmages are open to the public, so anyone can watch, anyone can see the video of them, things like that. By teams not having those, obviously they're making it more and more difficult for anyone else to find out how good their talent is, right? And that has been a problem in the past, where after a spring, because they used to have a second transfer portal period window, and players would enter after the spring football practice because teams would be out there and be like, hey, we'd love to have you on our team. If you decide to jump in the portal, let us know. There's a lot of tampering that happens as well. So even with the new stiff rulings, I still think you're going to see more and more college teams opt not to have those spring games, just out of an abundance of caution.
And what about ghost transfers in general? I mean, is this actually going to lead to an end to the practice?
To be honest, I don't know if anything can stop that, right? And I don't know if there's a number big enough, a dollar amount big enough, a suspension big enough that will stop the power teams out there from doing whatever they have to do to add the next piece of talent that they feel will help them compete for a national championship. Even before the Wild West of NIL and transfer portals, a lot of that under the table money spending was happening. I just think it's a new evolution of it now that you can openly spend and kind of openly shop. They're still the top of the top is still gonna find whatever ways that possible to add those players and pieces that they feel like they need to compete for a national championship. So even with these new rules, I don't know that it stops it altogether.
But at least the NCAA is trying to end it, right? That's a good thing?
Yes, 100%. They are making much more of an effort to control this, because when they first started the name, image, and likeness era, the NIL era, with transfer portal windows and all this, it really was a Wild West. It was almost like a free-for-all. And some teams out there that had, billion-dollar investors, boosters helping them out, it was just crazy because there were no restrictions on how much you could spend or who you could go sign and how you could go about doing that. And so, yes, at least now that the NCAA is making attempts almost yearly now to try to control this as best as they can before it gets any further out of hand or just becomes basically another pro football league.
KSL Sports anchor Sam Farnsworth speaking about stiff new penalties from the NCAA to stop the practice of ghost transfers by Division I colleges. After the break, we'll hear about a massive new AI supercomputer that's about to go online at the U that will help things like medical research and environmental modeling. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Ricky?
No new accidents reported on our freeways or main secondaries, but construction is going to catch you. If you're traveling northbound on Legacy Parkway, starting in Woods Cross into Bountiful, and the lane reduction starting to cause backups there. If that's your normal route home, plan on extra travel time to get through that stretch. Otherwise, I-15 and the rest of the Valley freeways looking good at this time. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Health care with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
President Dallin H. Oaks.
I have wanted to do what my Heavenly Father wanted me to do.
A beloved father and grandfather.
My dad raised me to be a strong woman.
Led by principle and intelligence.
Smartest and the most powerful person I know.
With a tremendous capacity for faith.
What matters most to him is what the Lord wants.
A journey from childhood to prophet of the world. President Dallin H. Oaks, defender of faith and freedom, Sunday at noon on KSL 5 and on our KSL Plus app.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things, clean job sites, and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A new AI supercomputer will soon go online that's expected to help researchers with a wide number of projects that range from biomedical research to environmental modeling. $15 million in state money has helped the University of Utah design this world-class system that will not only serve researchers, but also individual institutions and businesses. Communications manager for the Hughes Computing Institute, Kelly Hermans, tells me how it came about.
So this is a really wonderful public-private partnership, and it started between Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, HPE, NVIDIA, the huge chip maker company, the Huntsman Family Foundation, and the state. And, part of the state, the university is part of the state. So it's this great public-private partnership between many of these entities. And really, this wouldn't be able to happen without all of these entities coming together to make this a reality for the state.
So describe what it's going to do.
It's going to be really essential for Utah staying at the forefront of AI, which we're already doing great. We're topping the rankings and from Code for America, from Design Rush, from Brainly. We're also high on Brookings institution lists. But, to stay at the front, you have to keep up with the technology. You have to have the latest infrastructure. The infrastructure is really going to power our innovation and our research and development in this space. So this is really essential. It's going to help us come up with new treatments for cancer and Alzheimer's. It's going to help us do environmental modeling, clinical decision support, large-scale analysis of historical and textual data sets in the humanities. Really, every field is going to be impacted by this.
So describe how this new system increases the computing capacity by 3.5 times and what that means.
The supercomputer itself is going to combine GPUs, graphics processing units, high-speed networking, and secure data storage, just at a level that we haven't really had at the U before. This opens up entirely new doors that researchers haven't been able to step through before. Even just over last summer, we had some infrastructure improvements researchers have already said that they're doing new things with that improvement that they haven't been able to do before. And this is going to take us to really the next level.
So is it just for university researchers, or who will be allowed to use this new system?
Yeah, that's the other great thing is it's not just for university researchers, not just at the U also, but every Utah higher education institute will be able to use this. Industry will be able to use this. That rollout will come a little bit after academics, but we're really excited to open this up to everybody once we have the proper security and procedures in place there.
Okay, you mentioned the security aspect. What still needs to be done to make sure that it is secure?
There's protected private health information. And so anybody working with, anything that's not just public data, that needs to be protected in certain ways to protect individual privacy, basically. So that's just a really, technical and complicated setup that thankfully, the Center for High Performance Computing already deals with at the U. And so it's just a matter of applying those standards to this new infrastructure.
When do you expect it to roll out? When does it go online?
So we expect it in midsummer, around June or July, and that'll be first for academics, and then after that, we'll open it up to industry access. It's not just going to help academics, it's going to help the whole state, and we're really excited.
Kelly Hermans is a communications manager for the University of Utah's Computing Institute. A boy from Arkansas who was so enthusiastic about the launch of the Artemis II mission dropped an F-bomb on live TV, and now that video has gone viral. News Nation's Dylan Price sat down with the boy and his family to talk about their newfound fame.
11-year-old Hilt Bowling spring break trip, unlike any other.
Like when the boosters ignited, it started shaking. Like 20 seconds later, it just started shaking, and it was so loud and it was so amazing.
Roger, roll pitch. He and his parents witnessing the historic Artemis II launch firsthand.
Finally, it launched. I started crying tears of joy. It was so awesome. I was a part of history, and it was awesome.
The moment itself, special, but in anticipation of the launch, he was interviewed by CNN in a clip that's now been seen by millions, where he expressed his, excitement about going back to the moon.
I have a video with like 45,000 views on my YouTube, but that's nothing compared to frickin' 2.2 million.
Okay. But Bowling thinking logistically about his newfound fame.
I want the money from it ASAP, but I'm not too happy.
More important for his family than virality, that Hilt experienced history.
Today,
just to experience history together was special.
And then he got super emotional afterwards, which I was just so moved by his raw emotion.
For Hilt, there was no doubt about it. Wednesday was the best day of his life.
Heck yes. Heck yes.
Now, Hilt said his trip has reinforced what he already knew, that he hopes to become an astronaut or his own aerospace or have his own aerospace company someday. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Backlogs and delays resulting in a woman waiting 10 years to get justice after being sexually assaulted. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson has been digging into the reasons why this took so long and how this particular woman is not alone in waiting this long. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Delays due to road work. Northbound on Legacy starting in Woods Cross. Maria?
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Mike Dubusky. Rescue teams are on an urgent search to locate the missing aircraft pilot who was shot down by Iranian forces. Another service member on that F-15 fighter jet has been rescued. Officials say President Trump has been receiving updates on the situation throughout the day. It comes as we learn about another military jet crash in the region.
The U.S. Air Force one-seater A-10 Warthog attack jet also crashed in the Persian Gulf on Friday. That's according to a U.S. official. The pilot aboard was safely rescued. That's also according to that U.S. official.
ABC's Britt Clennett reporting from Tel Aviv. The incidents have prompted worries that the conflict in Iran could escalate. As of this afternoon, 365 U.S. troops have been wounded in the war with Iran, according to Pentagon data. 13 have been killed in action. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Starting at the end of next month, voter information will no longer be private unless they qualify as a protected person. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Utahns are receiving these letters saying their full names, party affiliation, address, and mailing addresses will be made public. Those letters are real. This change is happening because of a bill passed this last legislative session. Utahns can apply to be a protected voter, but would only qualify if they're in the active military, law enforcement, a public figure, someone under a protected order, or anyone who is or potentially could be a victim of domestic violence. Forms to register as a protected voter must be turned in by May 25th.
The list will have to be requested and paid for through the Lieutenant Governor's office. Lieutenant Governor's office already hearing reports of people reacting after getting those letters.
Unfortunately, we have already heard from callers yesterday in our office of people who were literally at a county clerk's office unregistered. And that's unfortunate, and we absolutely hate to see that.
Deputy Director of Elections, Shelley Jackson, says the office has been worried that this would be the result and brought it up in the legislative session, but says lawmakers felt that transparency was more important or that people wouldn't go so far as to choose not to vote. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Ricky, what's going on?
We have had an accident reported between 14th and 15th East at about 100 South. And if you're traveling any of the Valley freeways, we are starting to see a little bit busier traffic setting in southbound I-15 near 7200 South, northbound I-15 exiting at Legacy, and construction causing delays northbound on this is northbound I-15 at Bangerter Highway, in Draper, and delays setting in due to construction northbound on Legacy, Woods Cross, and Bountiful. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Headed into a nice weekend with highs in the 60s, lows close to 40 degrees, and no chance of rain. It looks like no chance of rain until Wednesday of next week. Early next week, the temperatures will be high temperatures in the 70s. 43 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Progressive knows you think the grass is always greener. Like maybe you ride a motorcycle. But today, it's raining. So you wish you had an RV. But if you did, you'd have to listen to some guy parked next to you at a campsite plays acoustic guitar. Now, before you start wishing you had a boat Remember, your brother-in-law would invite himself every weekend.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
But one thing that is greener is the money you could save when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. So, Monty, I wonder if you know someone like this. He's the ultimate DIY guy. Restores classic cars, builds his own deck, and even smokes his own brisket.
Sounds like a talented guy.
He is, but get this, his other weekend hobby is troubleshooting his water softener. He's always down there resetting the timer or fiddling with the circuit board.
See, Doug, that's where I draw the line. Smoking a brisket is a great weekend project.
Yeah.
Fixing an electric water softener is just a chore.
Exactly. He thinks he's saved money by buying the bargain brand, but he's paying for it with his Saturdays.
That's the Connecticut difference. Our systems are premium because they are non-electric and fully automated. No computers to fry, no timers to reset. We install it and you get back to the hobbies you actually enjoy.
If you want soft water, do what I did and leave that to Connecticut. It runs on water power, not willpower. Learn more at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Justice delayed, but now finally coming to fruition. A perfect storm of backlogs and bad timing causing a woman to just now get justice 10 years after being picked up at a bus stop and sexually assaulted by a stranger in Salt Lake County. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson joins me now live in studio with more on this case. And Heather, why did it take so long for this victim to see her abuser sentenced?
Oh, well, so like you said, this happened almost 10 years ago now, but today a judge sentenced Miguel Bernardino to 10 years to life in prison. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill explained a little bit more about this case today.
In 2016, there was a woman who was waiting at a bus stop, and she was approached by somebody who said to her, hey, I can give you a ride. She accepted the ride, and as he was talking to her, she told her she wanted to be dropped off, and that she noticed that the driver was not turning there and ended up taking her to a secluded area near 900 West, where he then proceeded to violently and physically sexually assault her.
Bernardino's DNA was matched to the case in 2020, and he was finally convicted in February of this year.
Okay, that just sounds so astounding. So why did it take so long for him to be arrested, convicted, and then sentenced?
So it had to do with the timing of her case. In 2016, when this happened, crime labs were dealing with a massive backlog of untested sexual assault kits.
There were almost 2,000 rape kits in Salt Lake County alone, with multiple law enforcement agencies that were just kind of languishing on the shelves, and nationally there were hundreds and thousands of rape kits that had never been processed. So there was a concerted effort that was made, including some federal grants, and Salt Lake County and certainly the state of Utah has done an admirable job in trying to get all those done. And that was sort of one of those anomalies in the context of sexual assault cases historically.
And Gill said when Bernardino was finally identified and arrested, then we were in the middle of a pandemic. So the courts were paused and then seeing a big backlog in cases. So from start to finish, it took this victim nearly 10 years to see justice served because of these delays. And the victim actually wrote a letter to Bernardino during the court case saying she's a completely different person now than she was back in 2016. Gill read some of that letter to us today.
Nobody deserves to know how I felt that night. And then she ends it by saying, today, I am no longer your victim.
Okay, so what is happening now? Are there still a lot of cases being delayed because of this backlog in testing rape kits?
Yeah, so I spoke to Dr. Julie Valentine about this. She's a professor and Barnes Presidential Endowed Chair at the University of Utah's College of Nursing. She's also a forensic nurse with Wasatch Forensic Nurses, so she's been heavily in this space for a while now. And she says the backlog was discovered around 2010, and nationwide there was a big push to get those kits tested. Then federal legislation was passed that now allowed for grant money for states to test those untested kits, as well as develop policies to make sure this doesn't happen again. Dr. Valentine was one of the key players in Utah to push this issue locally.
I had done research on this issue and discovered that across the state of Utah, about 36% of sexual assault kits were being submitted for testing. The remaining kits were either in storage or had been destroyed before being submitted to the crime lab for testing. So Utah launched their evaluation of how many backlog kits, and that was under Department of Public Safety, specifically Utah Bureau of Forensic Services. The crime lab oversaw that survey, and I was a primary author writing a grant for the state through Utah Commission on Criminal and Juvenile Justice to apply for these grants to address backlog sexual assault kits. And so we did that. It was a very thorough survey and found, over 3,000, almost 4,000 sexual assault kits that had never been submitted for testing. And then the crime lab outsourced that testing through the monies that we received through the grants. And that was with Jay Henry, who was the crime lab director at the time. Since then, protocols have been developed about how do you reach out to a survivor who maybe had a rape committed 10, 15 years earlier, and their evidence had never been submitted for testing. How do you, in a trauma-informed way, reach out to that survivor and say, we are sorry that your kit has never been submitted for testing, but now it has, and we have discovered a DNA profile that has identified a suspect and would like to talk to you about moving forward to prosecute this case. There are a lot of implications on what best practices that would mean and to not re-traumatize victims. So a lot of stakeholders were invested in this. At the same time, Representative Angela Romero, I worked with her in 2016 and 2017 and other stakeholders, and we wrote House Bill 200, which mandates that all sexual assault kits are submitted to the crime lab for testing. And so now we've gone from, my earlier studies was 36 to 38% to we're at like 98%, pretty much 100% of collected sexual assault kits are now submitted for testing. So for the last few years, we have been seeing cases move forward in which when the DNA profile from a backlog sexual assault kit has been entered into CODIS, the FBI combined DNA index system, it has identified a perpetrator. So a number of my colleagues, forensic nurses, and myself have testified in these cases that are now moving forward, which is huge because it then finally delivers justice for these survivors, these victims, and also helps to create a safer Utah, because when we can identify perpetrators of sexual violence and bring them to justice, we can reduce additional harm.
And she says that while she doesn't know exactly the numbers on where things stand today, that former backlog has been completely worked through. And now they have the legislation in place to make sure kits are tested in a timely manner so this doesn't happen again. Still, she says it's going to take years for the legal system to completely catch up from that backlog.
Boy, it's tough to imagine the frustration these victims must feel.
Unimaginable.
All right. Thank you, Heather. That is KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The Bridge Loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call at 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month. And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
A new model home is about to open at Weber State University to help train Utahns and demonstrate ways that people can improve the efficiency of their homes while also reducing utility costs. Sounds pretty great, right? Saving money and making your home more efficient, therefore saving you even more money.
Weber State Sustainability Home is a home that is a demonstration home that can show our neighbors ways that they can either make their home more energy efficient, electrify it, or power it with solar energy. We're really excited about having the home because it demonstrates a lot of different things that we've been learning about at the university. For example, one of the things that we'll be doing is also looking at xeriscaping the yard eventually as well.
She says not only will they give tours, but they are also offering a more personalized experience.
We're going to be out here to help walk community members through the home and provide free instructions on simple to install do-it-yourself energy efficiency supplies. So people could come and take tours or take a workshop, but they can also work one-to-one with an individual here to develop a personalized home energy action plan. We have an energy navigator, and that energy navigator can sit down, and if somebody, for example, wants to put solar on their home, but they don't know a lot about the process, she can go ahead and inform them about, maybe the questions that they should be asking themselves or asking their contractors before they meet with a contractor so that they're informed and can make their best decisions for themselves.
Kirsty Hansen tells KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa it's an innovative, one-of-a-kind experience.
To me, it's kind of amazing. I don't think there's ever been anything out there like this before. And, when I put solar on my home, I had to figure it all out by myself. And now there's somebody that can help, inform you about the process so you have what you need before you start installing yourself.
She says it's not just about big home improvement projects. They're also hoping to make people aware of small things that result in higher utility bills.
One of the things that is really helpful is just kind of looking for gaps and cracks, around windows and different spaces like that. So, or if, sometimes when people will close your door, but you can see the light coming through, then I should be maybe weather stripping that area or putting in caulking in those areas. So those are some of the things that people can look for to just help their home be more efficient. Also, something that's very simple to do is putting in LED light bulbs. And when we do the workshops that we're going to be hosting, we'll teach people all about these simple tips and tricks that they can learn. And we'll also send them home with free energy efficiency supplies. So low-cost things such as weather stripping, caulking, light bulbs, and those types of things.
That is Bonnie Christiansen. The Weber State Sustainability Home opens April 7th on Quincy Avenue in Ogden. It's Friday, so let's talk about cool stuff going on this weekend in Utah. I will chat with the Arrow's John Smith next. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Ricky?
We are already seeing the Friday afternoon drive set in delays southbound I-15 between 4500 South Murray into Midvale, northbound I-15 getting bogged down approaching the Bangor Highway exit, and again from 2100 south to downtown. And the construction delays we had northbound on Legacy, Woods Cross to Bountiful. The good news is those have eased for now. Spring is calling. Answer in Cedar City and Bryan Head. Head south, try something different. A one-tank getaway that gives you more vacation. Plan now at visitcedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We do have breaking news on KSL News Radio. A second U.S. aircraft has now been hit by Iran. NBC reports this was an A-10 Thunderbolt. It went down in Kuwait, and the pilot is safe. This is after Iran struck the F-15, prompting a search and rescue effort. One crew member in that earlier crash has now been rescued. The other is still missing. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the very latest.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaid spells powerful relief. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Thinking about starting weight loss treatment? GoodRx is here to help. We offer FDA-approved GLP-1 medications prescribed by licensed providers, including the Wegovy tablet, with straightforward pricing and pickup at your local pharmacy or delivery to your door. All from America's #1 prescription app. Go to goodrx.com/weight loss to get started. GoodRx is not insurance. Cancel anytime. #1 prescription app ranked by a third-party study.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Something about me. I don't like to settle. I work hard to be my best self, and I want a vehicle that matches. So I'm shopping for a Cadillac because their innovation and craftsmanship are top of the line. With a whole line of electric SUVs packed with state-of-the-art technology, I know I'll be driving away in redefined luxury. Help all of us at Jerry Seiner Cadillac celebrate our new location with an incredible buying experience for your dream car. Come in today to experience the Seiner difference.
Most people prefer a local company. That's why you're seeing more and more big league lawns on your street. We hear it all the time. My neighbor uses you guys, and their lawn looks amazing. Thicker, greener, just better. Big League Lawn started right here in Utah 10 years ago, and it didn't take long for people to notice. Along the way, they've left more than 1,600 five-star reviews talking about it. Big League Lawns, built right here, chosen every day.
Mosquitoes were out before the grill was even hot. You lit the torches, sprayed the kids, swatted through dinner, and the mosquitoes still won. Call Skeeter Eater, a Utah company built for backyard living. Our family-friendly treatments and smart mosquito traps keep the fun going long after sunset. Get $40 off your first treatment now at SkeeterEater.com. Skeeter Eater. Stop the bites. Start the fun.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. DukesJewelers.com.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. It's Friday, almost time for the Easter weekend, and time for cool stuff in Utah with the Arrow's John Smith. And John, do you have any brand new videos out today? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I was driving around, and it struck me that I was like, there is a very historic site, one of many here in Salt Lake City, that a lot of people don't realize how much history is just in this one little corner mall that we have in the east side of downtown. So I went in and started looking around Trolley Square, and I met a historian who actually works in the building.
All right.
So we got a great video up on YouTube. We're going to put it on today on KSL TV. And I learned so much about this.
Okay, so tell us what you learned.
So, for example, it was built in 1908. So it's literally almost 100 years. Well, it's over 100 years old.
Okay.
I'm not great with math. It's almost 120 years old. It was largely abandoned in the 1960s. And then when they bought it and turned it into a mall, they repurposed bricks and doors and building materials from other buildings around the downtown area that had been torn down or were in the process of being demolished. And they used these things to do things like the floors of the Trolley Square Mall, the windows, the doors. There was I forget the name of the ice cream store that was there in the 70s.
I can't come up with it either.
Fendel's ice cream, I think.
Possibly.
But all of the interior of that, the old spaghetti factory in there, a lot of that is repurposed from other parts of Salt Lake City. So there is so much history within the history of Trolley Square. I couldn't get enough facts in the video, and the video is like 10 minutes long.
Well, that is so interesting that they actually repurposed those bricks and put them in the building there.
Including an entire house.
An entire house?
Yes. So if you go in, there's an eyeglass store called The Spectacle. And they took an entire house that was being torn down. The exterior of the house is on the outside of the store. The interior of the house, including the staircase, is the interior of the store. And it's all still there, like a house that is from the 1800s. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Most of us think these buildings are they're planned and then they're just constructed. We don't think about them taking other buildings and putting them inside of these buildings.
Right? So, yeah. So this is one of those places that you can go in and look around and just start exploring the random history of our city within a historical site all on its own.
It's interesting because I often wondered who did plan it, because there are so many weird sections where you kind of weave throughout that mall, kind of dark hallway type things. So, yeah, I've often wondered how they did that. And now it makes more sense to me that it's actually using repurposed materials from other buildings.
So, yeah, when it was converted into a mall, it was a guy by the name of Wally Wright in the 1970s. And Wally Wright was big into reuse, and he was big into preserving history. So
he was ahead of his time, I might say.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much into sustainable materials.
I love it.
So if you look in there, there's a trolley museum in there. They call it Wally's Trolley. And that's after Wally Wright, who was the guy who converted the abandoned trolley barns into the Trolley Square Mall that we have since 1972.
Back in the 80s, there's kind of a little amphitheater space in there where you step down and it kind of looks like an amphitheater.
Yeah.
They used to hold concerts there, jazz concerts, like every week.
Believe it or not, they still do.
Once
in a while. Yeah, the amphitheater's still there.
And they still have concerts?
It's not very often. They still have, but you'll get some performers down there once in a while that the mall will bring in during a Saturday. But it's not the big shopping draw that it used to be. There's the Whole Foods and there's the Spaghetti Factory, and there's some really great stores in there. But there's also the bookstore that's right above that. But occasionally you'll find a little jazz trio or something down there performing in the little amphitheater.
Yeah, there used to be a theater as well
A movie
before they
theater,
built Trolley Corners across the street.
Yeah, which was I worked in the radio station in Trolley Corners there for a long time. I think you did too, didn't you?
No, but my husband did.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's what it was.
Right. Yeah, interesting history.
So, yeah, go watch that video. We're going to put it on TV today, but there's so much fun in there. There's a lot of history.
Okay, so tell us what's happening this weekend.
Okay, so no Jazz or Mammoth this week. They're both on the road. But we do have the Salt Lake Bees. Tonight, tomorrow night, they're going to be playing out in America First Field. The Utah Grizzlies at the Maverick Center. 20-year last chances to see the Grizz because their season is coming to a close and they're going to be leaving town.
Right.
Also, Major League Women's Soccer, the Utah Royals tomorrow night at the Riot. So,
all right.
There you go.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, one of our texters saying they had the pleasure of working as a secretary for the architect, A.B. Christensen, who did the redesign of Trolley Square in the early 70s. You can find all of John Smith's Cool Stuff in Utah videos on the Arrows website and on YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Jeff Kaplan is here. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock, KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. 45 degrees in Salt Lake City, KSL's top story. Breaking news, we're finding out that another second U.S. military jet was hit by Iranian fire today. The one pilot aboard the A-10 Thunderbolt ejected and is safe. The pilot managed to fly the jet to Kuwaiti airspace before punching out. This all happens after Iran struck an F-15, prompting a search and rescue effort. One crew member was rescued in southwestern Iran. The other remains missing. President Trump told NBC that F-15 being